We need to stop thinking that we know God's reasons for everything. We really do. This is a disease. God's ways are so far above ours in every possible capacity. He sees things we are incapable of seeing. It's a trite, perhaps, metaphor, and perhaps if you've been in church, you've heard this often. If you've not, I don't know that you have, but when you watch an ant, if you've ever sat and studied an ant, and you see the ant trying to, let's say, get across a stream of water. I can remember this as a boy, sitting in the front yard of my dad's house. He had these 22 acres, and there'd be some water going down his hill, and we could see the bugs trying to make their way across. In fact, we made a little game out of it. We would build little bridges for the bugs, the ants. No, here's your bridge. Go to your. They wouldn't go there because they couldn't see it. We would say, silly ant, if you just came here, you could get right across this thing. That's God's view of us. We think we see all things. We think we see all options, but God doesn't respect hills or time constructs or day or night. He doesn't need any of that. He already knows. So we need to stop thinking that we understand God's reason for everything. And I bring this up because of a guy named Joe Blankson. I had no idea what this guy did. And it was a few years ago that this Nigerian man saved 13 lives before drowning on his 14th attempt. That's a picture of Joe. God rest him. So I'll tell you why I was inspired to speak this way by his story of what Joe did. And it has to do with some of the responses that came after people learned about Joe Blankson and what he did. They started to want to understand all of God's ways. Now, there are some ways to understand God, for sure. We can spend time in his word. We can spend time with Christians more mature than we are. We can pray and make sure that we listen and spend time listening to God's responses to our prayers. We can do all of these things. We can also choose to expose ourselves to media that is faith affirming, media that helps us build our faith. Angel Studios has a new release. It's called Testament. And this is a series that brings the gospel post-resurrection to life. It's the book of Acts, and it's filled with surveillance and censorship, hostility to truth. Does that sound familiar? The apostles literally put their lives on the line, and all but John were martyred. They just couldn't finish the job with John. So as they go throughout the world spreading the word of Jesus Christ, they're also building his church. You will watch this happen. You'll see that we live in times that are kind of similar to this. Paul, James, Philip, Stephen, Mary, you see them in a whole new light. You bet there's some license taken with this. Mary's not really depicted in the book of Acts, but we can guess what she did. But the depictions that do exist are biblical and biblically sound because that's what Angel Studios does. So here's what you can do to support this bold look at how the Church of Christ was built. Because the Church of Jesus, the one he constructed, will not fold to the gates of Hades at all. Join the Angel Guild at angel.com/Todd. Premium members receive 2 free tickets to every theatrical release. That's angel.com/Todd to stream Testament and support bold, faith-driven content about the one and only God, the triune God, personified here through Jesus Christ. So, the personification of God through Jesus Christ. It's a way that we can get to know God and what God did and how he did things as a man. That's very, very helpful for us. And people want to take that and read into a whole bunch of things about God's decision-making. It's a good pattern, but it doesn't mean that we know all things. Joe Blankson saved 13 people on a 14th attempt. He died. This is from local Nigerian media. And by the way, it's so fun to look back at a time where people wore woke masks because they were told they would die if they didn't.
It was raining heavily during the boat's passage, and the river was full of debris. Eventually, the boat capsized, turned over, unfortunately. Now, Blankson swam in and out of the river 13 times. So, exhaustion stepped in. He moving back to rescue the 14th person. Yeah, unfortunately, that became the end of his journey on Earth. He wasn't able to make it back after that one. So
the man died on his 14th attempt. He saved 13 lives. And I was reading some of the responses, and some of them were so utterly foul, I have to hope they were created by bots. They were just there to create racial division, saying ridiculous things about black people in swimming. Why? Division. This caught my eye from Spectrum. He saves 13 people from drowning, but then he himself drowns? I believe in God, but things like this just don't make sense. It's as though he's being punished for helping others. Drowning is a painful way to go and panic-inducing. Why couldn't he have died in his sleep? And 90s kid writes, no good deeds goes unpunished. Ron to S. Possibly rewarded depending on how you look at death. Though I will say his loved ones suffered, and I'm sure his family had similar thoughts. I think his soul's removed to struggle and fear, from struggle and fear. Why so many accounts of seeing God, Jesus, and loved ones in near-death experiences? Gen X unsolicited opinion, sweetie. Even if you believe in the Bible version of lowercase God, you should know by now free will is a thing. Such remarkably smart commentary. What did God see? The entire picture. God knew that this man would face this moment. So what can we take from this? One of the greatest examples of how the Lord Jesus described love? No greater love has man than to lay down his life for his brothers. These are people he didn't know. 13 of them. Do you think it's possible that the God of the universe who created everything in the universe, including the rules that govern it, do you think it's possible that the God of the universe that moment took that man from pain and brought him to reward and showed him the future of what his act of kindness did and made him aware of the way he changed lives and inspired people? This post happened because every year people remember this man and his sacrifice. Let's stop pretending that we know why God does something, and let's just know this. We know God. He never does a thing to harm us, only to help us, because he's a good and loving Father, and he has one big, major offer. Do not drown in sin. Do not spend eternity drowning. Spend it with him by choosing Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, admitting he is a Messiah,